Hey YouTube, Rich from T3 Angling here. Today's part one of this video series. I'm going to introduce my version of a DIY adventure power box. You've seen a lot of these things on YouTube, a lot of different builds. Just my take on it, my version to fit what I need when I go out kayaking, camping, fishing, whatever it is I do, road trips. Included in this, or one, I shouldn't say included, but one of the things you can also use this for is at home during severe weather. You may have a power outage. You can charge your cell phone, your tablets, keep the kids entertained by keeping their stuff charged up. It also gives you some light and gives you a little bit of hope and that things are going to get better soon. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go over real quickly what the box is, how I built it, why I built it, and its functionality. It is a multi-purpose, multifunctional box, so just keep that in mind. And it is a 12-volt system. I did not design it to go to a 24-volt system, whatever the case may be. So all that being said, I'm just going to give you a real quick run through, and then later in the series, we're going to deconstruct, reconstruct, and do all that kind of stuff, and I'll show you how to build it from A to Z. So why is my box different? My box is different in that I took a lot of ideas and watched a lot of videos and talked to several YouTubers who made these types of boxes, and I just kind of put all that in my head, and I was like, okay, well, I'm into space saving, I'm into downsizing, I'm into short, compact, and complete. And so that's a spin on what I did to this box, at least my version of that spin on that box. So with that in mind, some of the multi-function things we have going on here. We have a red and green LED. These can be used as navigation lights for kayaking, which is what I do, but as a backup right now because I do have lights and everything on board the kayak. On the back side here, you got white, so you can use your rear navigation lights, or you use them as a flashlight. Back to the green or red, taken from a little bit of military experience doing land nav and things like that. We use either a red or green LED to preserve our night vision and makes reading things a little easier, maps, that sort of thing. So on top here, we have an Atwood power port, which you'll find on a lot of power boats. And basically what this does is this allows us to use a Yolatech power stick. And you plug it in here, and then it has LEDs on here where you can charge your cameras, run your cameras, lights, cell phone, whatever you have attached to the stick. So that's the main purpose for that port. You see these screws here, which I'll go through that here in a minute, but that mounts the plate that's internal to the box. And what it does several things. It's better aesthetically, at least in my opinion. It provides more room in the box because now we're using the top half of the lid. We're now using that room instead of taking up all the room that's in the box. So that's one aspect of why I came up with the design I came up with. On the back here, if you're road trip, you have an emergency flasher here, and that pretty much covers the outside of the box minus the SAE port, which is how we charge via our solar panel. Our solar panel has been wired with the SEE plug, and that simply plugs into the port, and boom, you got solar power. So I'll go over more of that in detail, but that's just in a nutshell is what I use for powering the box away from home when I don't have shore power. Real quick inside the box, to keep things short and sweet and simple, the box can be run with either a single battery or batteries in parallel, which would mean that two batteries, negative, negative, positive, positive. That's what that means. It's still going to remain a 12-volt system. You'll just increase or double your capacity. If you're using one battery, some things you can put in there. If you're out hiking, you and somebody else, you can put a first aid kit in there. I carry it's one of these cool cloths where you wet it and you snap it and it cools you off. I carry one of those in there. If you get in an emergency situation, you can also cut this thing, use as a tourniquet, whatever the case may be. I carry a couple of Who rags with me pretty much all the time in case I forget my cap or my hat, because I'm a chrome dome, and these things come in handy to protect against sunburn. We all know what those are for. We won't talk about that. I strongly suggest everybody having some sort of multi-tool. This is a Gerber. There's lots of companies that make them, but it has a screwdriver, scissors, a knife. There's all kind of pliers. There's all kind of things in this thing. So I would strongly suggest if you don't wear one of these on your belt as you're hiking, if you wear a belt, or if you don't, in your backpack if you carry that. If not, put it in there. Again, I mentioned if you're out with somebody else and let's say an emergency situation comes up and you have to leave them for any reason, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get back to them, leave the box with them so it's not something extra that you're carrying, right? But I would strongly suggest using one of these little head torches. This is Milwaukee brand, not affiliated in any way, shape, form, or another. There's plenty of people who make them, so you can just figure out whichever one you want. But I would strongly suggest having some sort of additional lighting source, so in case you do get separated or you need to separate on purpose, you also have lighting, they have lighting. Real quick run through of the box. Again, we're operating on lithium iron phosphate batteries. This is a 12 volt, 12 amp hour battery, and you're going to give you 8 to 10 years of life, and even after that they'll probably degrade a little bit, but you'll still get power out of them. Real quick run through of the box here. Main power switch cuts power on to everything. Main power switch cuts power out to everything, so now nothing's drawing any power from the battery. If you really want to be conscious about that and you don't want any power draw, just disconnect your red leads here. It is protected with an inline fuse. It all sits in there. This wire gland keeps wires to go out away from the hinges so it doesn't pinch your wire. We mentioned the YOLOTech power stick. It would go into this port with this switch. So that would operate that. If I turn it off, there's no longer power being delivered to that port. This comes on automatically, and all this is a quick charge 3.0 USB. You can get it to fit the mini USBs and all the other kind of plugs that are coming out nowadays. And it also has its own separate on-off switch. So even though the power's on and it came automatically when I powered up, I just touched that and now that port is no longer drawing power. Talked about kayak lighting. You can do red and green for your front, or your night vision in camp, tying jigs, reading a book, whatever the case may be. You can use your white ones for your rear navigation, as a flashlight, etc. And then we have an emergency roadside flasher. So if you're out traveling, you got an orange box and a flasher that's flashing. So most people that are driving in cars who see that are going to think, hey, there's something going on up front, so we need to slow down or render assistance. And then finally, we have a blue rocker switch over here. And again, they're all independently wired for our glory hole. So in case you're a fisherman that ice fishes or you use some kind of jig that you need to glow, put it in there. It'll charge it up with a UV, and then you're on your way fishing. The reason for the panel is, I briefly mentioned, is it keeps all the wires and everything underneath there. It's more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and you just don't have wires dangled down like in a lot of the other videos. The guys have stuff all up here and wires are hanging out down here. So if you're putting stuff in a box, you may grab a wire, pull a little terminal off, or whatever the case may be, and it's not a big deal. You simply reconnect. But what that also allows additional opportunity for water intrusion for every hole that you have on the outside. Mine is minimized to the lights. Lights probably wouldn't do you much good on the inside of the box. And this is somewhat waterproof. It's not really waterproof, but it does, unless you submerge it, chuck it in the river, lake, whatever the case may be. Chances are it's going to keep water out. Everything is sealed externally and internally with silicone, so that helps us there. I use the handle as a little kickstand for my lid if I need to do something. This is simply nylon nuts with screws, and I'll show you later in the series how I built this. But again, I don't have to do all the wire maintenance and everything because everything's kept nice and tucked in and concealed and in place. Your solar charge controller has 2 inputs for your solar panel to charge it with your SAE port. You've got your 2 battery inputs, which are wired to the main switch. This comes into the main switch, goes over there, and then out from the main switch into the solar charge controller. So again, you're fuse protected. And then these 2 over here are all your components, or anything that you're running outside the box. So real quick, guys, just in a nutshell, you're going to see a banner pop up here about like, share, subscribe, and comment. We really appreciate if you do that if you like the content of the video. I wasn't meaning to really speed through this, but we've got other parts coming up, and I didn't want it to be too long and ramble on. So a quick intro of the T3 DIY Venture Power Box. Hope you stick around for the rest of the videos coming. We're going to deconstruct, reconstruct, show you how to build it A to Z, and we're going to show you a kickstand that we built for the solar panel, using a tent peg to hold it down so the wind doesn't blow it away when you're using it. Until then, T3 Angling out.